So the couples retreat feels like a long time ago now because I've already been to Michigan and back for a different retreat that I'll tell you guys about later. But what an amazing experience. The initial thought in my mind or intention behind that retreat was I wanted to have an offering, an experiential offering for couples, but I didn't really want to come at it from a place of dysfunction or lacking or unease. I really wanted to create a space for couples to come in and just celebrate their partnership and kind of just remove a lot of the noise that we're used to dealing with, get them out in the woods, get them out in nature, and really try to almost minimize the structure. Renee and I thought really hard about how to create a framework and a structure for the weekend that we thought was highly conducive to meaningful conversations and reflection, but wasn't so rigid that it felt forced. And I'm honestly really proud of the way that went down because so much transformation and deep conversation and connection happened without me, standing in front of the group saying, think of it this way, or, prompting them too much. I've always felt like nature can be the ultimate guide if you just are allowing yourself to settle in. So yeah, I think from that perspective, we nailed it. The first night we got everybody together. They all loved the house. The house is incredible. It's just this beautiful, everything's wood. I call it the cabin castle because it has this really cool entryway that looks like a big castle pillar. And then the wooden door that you open it's like 8 feet wide. It's definitely the right setting for what I was going for. I wanted there to be seclusion and peace for our attendees when we were in between our excursions, and I felt that it delivered beyond my expectation there. So anyway, so night one, I don't have a ton of video of this, so I don't know how much B-roll I'll be able to layer over, but Renee put together a human design workshop for all of the attendees, and human design is really like an awareness tool is the way that Renee described it, for us to kind of look at the way that we can be using our energy and moving ourselves toward our purpose. It helps us to kind of understand when we might be out in the world acting out of alignment with our energy and what that can lead to. And she also had this awesome section in the booklets about how the couples different human designs could work together and what kind of positives can come from that, but also what kind of challenges they might face. So to sit beside Renee and see how much work she's done with learning human design the past several months and then convey it to others it made me proud. I was just sitting beside her smiling, and I could tell she was energized because when Renee gets excited, she talks a little faster, she uses her hands more, and everyone responded to it really well. And then they had that booklet for the rest of the weekend, so when we had downtime, they could read through it and learn more about it. So I think she's doing a really good job of taking her sort of all of her experience. She used to be the director of strategy at a branding agency, so her job was to basically take all kinds of information and then distill it down into something that could become the seed of like meaning and story to then be proliferated out by the creatives on her team. So for her to take an abstract set of concepts like human design, distill it all down for someone, put it into a story, make these little booklets, I was like, damn, she's in her power. So that was night one. It was a great way to just kind of get everybody introduced to each other and then also get them thinking about themselves. This goes back to what I mentioned around like not necessarily being overt about like making people reflect or go within, but just doing that exercise, and then naturally people become curious and they start thinking more about the way that they're wired. And then the very next morning, we went out on a beautiful, peaceful hike on one of the trails in the canyon. And it was the perfect thing, I think, because we already sparked some conversations the night before. And for me as the leader, I got to observe our whole group. So there were 8 of us total. And everybody would just be walking, paired up, for a certain amount of miles or whatever. And then we would just switch. So like everyone got a chance to one-on-one connect with the other couples, with each other, and hear each other's stories, what they're navigating in life. And it was a really cool way to sort of kick off that second day. Came back from the hike, had a good amount of time to rest. That's another thing. We built in a lot of time for rest because I think that's something that's missing for the modern man and woman, is just downtime. The following day, we did a more challenging hike. So that first day was kind of like, hey, we're going to go down through the trees and in the river and flow, and we're not going to really feel too much pain. And then the next day was kind of like, let's go into the masculine energy a little bit and do something that challenges us and see what comes up. And the hike that I took them on, it has several false peaks. And everyone got to kind of observe themselves as we get to a new false peak and take note of, oh, am I frustrated that I'm not to the top yet? Am I super sore? Am I upset that I didn't get myself in as good a shape as I thought I should for this? Or they just got to observe whatever came up, but then also gather the energy and the spirit to keep going. And I thought everyone responded to it really, really well. I think a few of our attendees really surprised themselves in what they were able to accomplish that day. It's not an easy hike by any means. Really a leg burner, a lot of vertical elevation, so up and down it really gets you. And I thought that was a good way to sort of lead into the breath journey that night. Because naturally when you do a challenging thing, it's going to bring up all kinds of stuff inside of you, limiting beliefs, things of that nature. So we had a good amount of time. We came directly back from that hike. We did it in the morning because it still was pretty hot in Sedona in early October. It was kind of unseasonably warm, so we did the hard hike early in the morning. Saw some beautiful hot air balloons that I think I have some footage of, which was so cool. And there was like a distant wildfire that created some smoke. But anyway, that was great. Came back, everyone ate. We had time to use the hot tub and hang out. And then in the evening, we kind of changed gears a little bit. So now everybody's gotten a chance to really get to know each other. And I felt like that created a lot more supportive vibe during the breath journey. Like everybody was more open to whatever was going to come up, and I could just kind of feel the supportive energy amongst everyone. There was a lot of cohesion, I think is a good word for it. And several of them didn't really know what to expect. I was actually talking to Steven, one of our attendees, earlier in the day, and he's never done anything like that. And we were talking, and I started describing it to him. I said, wait, do you want me to tell you this, or would you rather just find out when we do the journey? And he said, you know what, thanks for asking me that. I think I'd rather just wait and see, go into the unknown a little. And to me, that was a testament to the way that he was opening up around just being comfortable with the unknown, because one of the things he and I talked about before he came is he's always very measured, and he likes to understand anything that he's going to be partaking in. That's very common for the masculine energy to want to minimize unknown. So to see him just allow himself to be and experience, I actually think he may have had the most profound journey of everyone, just because he was so open to what was going to come in that he just I remember looking over him as I was taking them through the experience. He was just in joy. Sometimes the type of breath journeys that I facilitate bring up rage, anger, a lot of sorrow, tears. And for him, on this particular time, he went to a level that he was comfortable with in that unknown space and just felt curiosity and joy. And I could see it all over his face. And he had this lightness about him for the rest of the experience. So I'm always delighted to see the way that unfolds for people. But yeah, so that was the breath journey. The next morning, after the breath journey, we had some time to sort of integrate what came up for us a little bit further. I always have some time at the end of them, but there's, everybody got a chance to sleep on it. I think the breath journey was a little restorative, actually, for all the hard work we'd been doing out on the trails for the weekend. So the next morning, everybody just hung out at the table together, sipped on some cacao, and told stories and reflected on both experiences we had on the weekend, but also things that we're navigating in our lives. It's just, as I was sitting there listening to everyone talk, I thought of how rare this communal connection is now in the world. You have to be overly intentional to get into them. So it was really delightful for me to see, like, oh, if you just get good people together and make them feel at ease and safe, this stuff happens naturally. It was actually a really big indicator to me that I'm on the right path doing these in-person experiences rather than doing all online coaching work. There's just so much magic in being with other people. Actually, if you were to ask me what's my biggest takeaway, that's it. I was writing an Instagram post about the next one that we're going to run of this. So the retreat is called Closer. The idea is that you get closer to knowing yourself, but also get closer with your partner. But I was writing this post, and I wrote an ingredients list for like what I'm sort of trying to infuse, and it's very short and simple. You got to have good humans. You want to have a lot of nature. That's up there. I incorporate the breath, obviously, and then the one word that I think is thematic is awe. I mentioned Stephen in the breath journey being curious and joyful. I think the seed for that was planted out on the hikes. You know, he really enjoys nature, and taking him out in this magical landscape probably is what opened him up. So I can't take a lot of credit for how well this all went. It's honestly Renee, in just the immense amount of structure and planning that she loves to do and did for this, and getting all the food prepped, doing the human design stuff, and then nature, just getting these guys to a place where you can just go, did I ask some thoughtful questions? I'm sure I did. Or did I create a safe container for the breath journey? Yeah, I'm really confident there too. But the hardest work was just telling people the story about it to make sure they knew what it was going to be like for them to actually sign up. Everything else for me was pretty easy and honestly really fun. So if you heard me describing this and you're interested in what these are like, you can send me a message on here, like in the comments, or you can email me, nate@gettingthere.com, because we're running our next one in March of 2025 in the same space, which I'm so pumped about. I heard she's going to stop offering this for retreats, so I'm feeling really lucky that we're going to get in there at least one more time. But yeah, so that's the Closer retreat, our first official retreat of many, I know, and yeah, then I went straight there to a facilitation I was doing in Michigan, which there's a big story behind that I look forward to telling you guys. If you watched this whole video and you've been watching some of my other videos, I just want to thank you for doing that. I know that I don't move at the fastest pace, probably not the most exciting sometimes, but I hope there's some little bits of meaning that you're pulling here and there. And the further along I get on this, we're nearing 1,000 followers. The more likely it is I can get somebody to run a camera for me so I can actually make stories that I feel are worthy of your time. For now, it's just me doing all these selfie videos when I get a chance. So there's more capability inside me from a story standpoint. If you stick with me, I promise we'll get there. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one in Michigan.